Welcome, everyone, to episode 49 of the Our Two Cents podcast, one away from half a century of mediocre episodes. This week, we will review the Lego 2 movie. This will obviously be a spoiler review. Oh,
speak up.
I got to introduce the superhuman in front of me, the one indomitable Chris D'Amico. Yes, we're going to talk about the Lego movie. This is going to be a spoiler review. We're going to have, of course, the episode up for True Detective as well, so you can check that out.
A more lighter episode than previous dramas.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Only a little bit of weird shit. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the Lego movie. This was the sequel, of course, to the Lego movie that came out, I think, 3 years ago. Was it 3 or 4 years ago? It's quite a while ago. That film was directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. This one, I think the screenplay was written by them, but it was directed by a Mike Mitchell, and it goddamn showed. I'm going to get this off my chest real quick because I'm tight. The Lego movie, the first one, you didn't see it. The Lego movie, the first one, is one of the best comedies I've ever seen.
Jeez, that's a big statement.
It's a huge statement, and I stand by it. I've seen that film at least 10 times, and 10 times I have laughed my ass off because it is that good. It is that good of a comedy, and is that good of an animated film, and it's just that good of a film. And it got robbed at the Oscars for not being nominated because of its inclusion of live action scenes. And it's a very brief live action scene. Had it been nominated, in my opinion, it probably would have won Best Animated Film of the Year. Now, with that, and obviously those were my expectations coming into this, I wasn't aware that there was a different director.
Till when?
Till after the film, when I'm like, that was a clear drop off in quality.
Okay, all right, ease up, my son.
No.
All right. So let's.
Because to put it in perspective, if we were going to review the Lego film, I would have gave it a 9. Okay. This is not going to be close to a 9.
Just read the synopsis, dog, and then we'll get into it.
I don't even have the synopsis up because you know what?
You don't respect.
I don't respect it. I don't respect this film. No, it's not true. Let me take it back a little bit. You're right. Look, I'm aggressive right now, but I think I have good reason to. What is this? Lego Movie 2. I'm not even following the script at this point. I was tight. How does this have a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes? People are bugging out with this. Anyway, the citizens of Bricksburg face a dangerous new threat when Lego Duplo invaders from outer space start to wreck everything in their path. The battle to defeat the enemy and restore harmony to the Lego universe takes Emmett, Lucy, Batman, and the rest of their friends too far away unexplored worlds that test their courage and creativity. So, that's the setup of the film.
Go ahead, take it.
Yeah. I was not very happy with this movie. I thought it pondered itself way too much, and it is an issue that Phil Lord and Chris Miller have faced before. When you choose, and this is not just their thing, okay? When your first film is going to be meta comedy, this includes 22 Jump Street. This includes the Lego Movie. This includes Deadpool.
Wait, what do you mean meta?
Like the humor is about the humor, basically. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, wall breaking, making fun of film, making fun of the things that you're a part of, right? I get it, right? It's funny in small doses. However, when these films try to build on this humor in sequels, it falls flat because you ask the audience to give a shit about something that they already made fun of for 2 hours many years ago.
So it's like a rehash?
It's a rehash.
Okay.
Right? And that's why, for example, as an example, the second Deadpool film, in my opinion, isn't as good. The comedy isn't as sharp. Why? Because it's a constant falling back to what the first film did. And when you assume this position of you're going to make fun of the thing that you're in, where do you go from that? Right? Where do you go from that? Where do you go from, like, I get awkward humor. I'm a fan of awkward humor. I've seen The Office. People. Yes, we are. I've seen The Office multiple times, right? And I still continue to watch that show. But when you watch The Office, you've seen a couple episodes, you'll notice something. You don't linger on a joke, for example.
Yeah, they could, cut.
Yeah. What is it with films and lingering on awkward jokes? Dude, The joke is that it's awkward for 5 seconds. If it's a 20-second awkward joke, it's not funny anymore. It's not funny anymore. This film is full of that shit to the brim of humor that just dies a slow, painful death. You made the joke. You can move on. This is spoiler, so I'm going to get right to it. The movie starts like that. When they have the joke about the brooding. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's not that funny. And what happens is when it's not funny and you've now killed it, now I'm upset. Now you have a negative reaction. Not only, like, it's not that I'm neutral now. No, now I'm like, okay, now I'm upset because, okay, now it's not funny and you pissed me off. Can we move on with the plot?
Okay.
Right? This film is constantly full of jokes that add nothing to characters. It adds almost nothing to the plot. It's constant branching out to just fill in space. There's very few moments where I'm laughing and I had a hard laugh in comparison to the first film. The first film, I can watch it right now and I'll die because the humor is so sharp, it's so witty, it's so clever that this movie is a joke to compare it to. And I'm so surprised it's the same writers. I'm so surprised it's the same writers. The director did an absolute hack job with this movie. I don't know, like, this is where I have a difficult time blaming people because directors get a screenplay and they have to direct the screenplay, right? So I don't know where they put their finger on stuff and say yes and no. But ultimately, I do put him in charge, right? He's a director. And it just does not live up to the standard that the first film set. And I haven't seen the other Lego Universe movies. There's a couple other ones. There's a Ninjago one. There's a Batman one, which I heard is fantastic. And I haven't seen that. But again, that's a film that it's in its first kind because it explores Batman. But it fits the character because he's a narcissistic piece of shit.
Egotistical.
Yeah, egotistical, all that thing. So it fits. That humor fits him. This movie makes everybody the same thing. Everybody in this movie has the same characteristics when it comes to making jokes. Everybody doesn't care about something or wants to be a sarcastic piece of shit. Constantly. It's over and over and over. And you're like, does anybody care in this? Are there no good people in this film? And you're just like, and this is it's like a kid's movie, right? So I get some of the humor is targeted towards kids, but again, a clever film, a clever animated movie can deliver a joke on both levels.
Spider-Man?
Yeah. Spider-Man, the first Lego film, almost every Pixar, they can deliver a joke on different levels, right? This one completely missed the boat. Completely.
Okay.
I mean, I have other shit to talk about, but yeah, go ahead. Tell me your expectations. What the hell do you know about the Lego films? Right. I'm upset. Yeah.
I gotta bring this back to like a lighthearted combo because you went straight to that nihilism.
Yeah.
All right. I got three things to talk about. Well, one of them is going to be eventually going to be what I thought of the movie.
Sure.
Let's the prelude here. Okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Who was this? Warner Brothers?
Yes.
So maybe that's why, because Warner Brothers is a little suspect. I shouldn't be criticizing these movie studios because what if I don't work with them because they don't want to work with me because I talk shit?
Because you're talking shit.
Exactly. So I got to calm down. Maybe that the first movie was such a success that they wanted to replicate the formula, which I get because you could kind of get away with that because the target audience here is kids. But I'm going to counter my argument now, illogically speaking, because this movie flopped at the box office.
It absolutely did.
And I don't know if it was marketing.
No, I don't know why it flopped. I don't know.
I heard it's marketing, but I feel like it's kids' movie too. And I think kids' movies are easier to gross.
I don't think they had any competition.
There's no comp
for kids movies.
Exactly.
I'll pull up right now. But
the Lego franchise is popular.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the flop came from, and it could be word of mouth of this. I mean, I don't know if people felt as strongly as you did.
Yeah.
But okay. Now getting to your feelings here, because you're in your bag heavy right now.
Yeah. I mean, look, real quick. This was the box office, right? It was a Lego film, What Men Want, which I think is rated R, Cold Pursuit, The Upside, Glass, The Prodigy, Green Book, Aquaman, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and all those movies had their runs.
There's no competition here.
So, all right, now, all right, maybe you, all right, again, this is just a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Maybe that you loved the first Lego movie so much that...
There's a standard it set.
Yeah. I get that. But what if...
And it's not, I get what you're saying. You think that and it's perfectly fair, right? I could very well be doing it where I think that I'm judging it on that scale, and that technically isn't fair, because every film needs to be itself, even if it's a sequel. I hear you, right? But my criticisms still stand. Jokes that don't make sense, don't add to anything, are tangential.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
And those are still on the table. It's just the added emphasis I'm putting comes from the fact that I know they've done better. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can go right on ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, that's a fair counterclaim to my counterclaim. So let me get to my side.
Sure.
You suggested I watch the first one. I did not watch the first one. I don't respect you. So
I'm going to tell you this right now. If you watch it, it will be in your top 10 of animated films of all time ever.
That's a big statement.
And I'm going to live by it. I'll pay your next movie ticket if that isn't the case.
All right, okay.
If that isn't the case, go ahead.
All right, well, since I haven't seen the first one, we could very well have, there's a high possibility we could have different opinions.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of spoil it, I wasn't too high on the movie.
Right. No, look, I'm glad you didn't see it, because you can bring a
fresh,
different take on this. Yeah. We can't both sip at the same time, man. One has to be talking. We both can't be drinking, man. Jesus.
What the hell, man? Like, we've been speaking for 5 minutes.
Go ahead. Take a sip.
All right.
Take a sip. You were the one talking. You're right. You're allowed to sip. Yeah, filler. Go.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
filler. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know what the plot of the first one was. Was it similar to this one?
No. So the theme of the I'll tell you the theme. The plot doesn't matter. The theme of the first one, and you'll see that they make fun of it in this one. The theme of the first one is the fact that as normal as your life is, right, as regular as you may be, as vanilla as Emmett Burkowski is, he's still special, right?
Okay.
And that's the gist of the first film. And it's his adventure to realizing that, his journey to realizing he's worth something, even if his position in life doesn't necessarily scream, special, right? So that's the gist of the first film.
Okay, so is it a different plot then?
And they completely shit on the point I just made.
Yeah, they do. Because
2 minutes in.
Emmett, because that's kind of like his whole journey. That's what it's based on. He's got to change.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just get into it. I thought, from a fresh standpoint.
Sure.
Let me just tell you what I liked.
Go ahead.
Because this is a lighthearted movie. We'll get to the pros. Okay, so off the bat, I love Batman.
Yeah.
No, Batman, I think
Will Arnett.
He's always going to be as bad or as not as quality as the first one was. I think they'll always have Batman to fall back on.
Yeah.
Because he's
a great character.
Jokes.
Yeah.
Complete jokes.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you 1,000%.
I think it also fits. I like the ironic take that they're going into such a happy universe.
Yeah.
And Batman's the nihilistic piece of garbage.
Yeah, in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that dynamic was pretty cool. His one-liners are just so awesome.
Yeah. Will Arnett's great.
He's awesome. He's awesome. Let's see. Rex.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Rex, but the intros they have for the social media influencer. Such a good. That was good.
Yeah, they were really funny.
No, that was cool. I thought I guess the interaction between him and Emmett, the relationship.
Yep.
Because it wasn't just him being villainy, Rex.
Yeah.
There was at least some logic towards what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I like that it wasn't just thrown in there.
Yeah.
If the twist was predictable, whatever. I just think at least there was.
I like that the point they were making. There's no evil person.
Yeah.
There's no, because in the first film there's a very evil one person.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Because
clear.
There's no villain here.
Yeah. Technically, right?
Yeah. Quote unquote.
That's that's one of the things the film tries to convince you of, right?
Okay. Love the Bruce Willis cameos.
Oh, they were fun. Those were the ones that killed me. And I think it was not the first one when he's in the bathtub.
No,
it's the second one in the air vents.
So good.
Where he's like, yeah, I'm here a lot. I absolutely died, bro. I died, and that's like an example of a great joke because it didn't deviate from the plot. You just, it was hysterical. We move on.
Fan service, and it attributes to what the thing is.
And that's what I mean. Like, the kids probably didn't understand the joke to the level of if you know the joke that they're trying to make, which is hysterical.
It's an outlandish aspect in an outlandish movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Bruce Willis.
Yeah. He shows up a third time. You hear him. There's a third time. Yeah, I think when Emmett's in the vents or some shit, he goes.
Oh wait, I think I know.
Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah. So good. Though.
Yeah.
Nah, that was a good. That was a nice touch. This wasn't. The Batman musical I thought was good because of just the throwbacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of fourth wall breaking here.
Yeah.
But they talk about Christian Bale, Adam West, Val Kilmer.
Right.
And Clooney, too, but they don't bring up Clooney as Batman.
Yeah, Van Kilmer lips. Yeah.
Yo, solid.
Hysterical, yeah.
And that's all I kind of really have.
Yeah, their music numbers I thought were interesting because they're...
Was there in the first one?
There's one in the first one. No, I don't think they're using... I don't think there's a musical number like in this one. In the first one, there is this idea of pop music being sort of aggressively played to fans and to people. And there's music in the first one, but in this one, there's actually music numbers, as you say. Right? There's original songs that they wrote, and some of them are quite decent.
In this one, right?
Yeah, to fit the plot, to fit the story, and it moves it along. I like those. Like they were quite decent, yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I was kind of nitpicking there, but those are my favorite parts. Mm-hmm. In terms of the general movie, so I actually like the script.
Sure.
I think there was a lot of good lines and some existentialism aspects in it because they talk about. I mean, I guess the main thing would be growing up is the theme, and I guess it's a kids' movie. Mm-hmm. There's a very deep social commentary theme that I have for this movie that we'll talk about later.
Sure.
And again, it could be. Look, we over-dramatize and we over-analyze these movies, even if it's a lighthearted movie, because it initiates conversation.
Yeah.
And conversation
is money.
And that's what we are. We're money.
Right.
The script was good. I thought it was funny. Sure. I wasn't dying at any parts. I mean, the ones you probably thought were funny, those are the ones I thought were funny. I didn't expect much to go into. I mean, I heard that it was a drop-off.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that I didn't have that many high expectations for it. It kind of just passed for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's the Spider-Man 3 of the Spider-Man
games. Man.
It's just good enough where you go like,
okay.
Yeah, it was good. Where it's acceptable. It's part of the universe.
Like, because from what I'm hearing you say, this isn't the movie where you're just going to be like, yo, you got to watch the Lego Movie 2. You will.
No. I beg people to watch the first one. I beg people.
All right, now I got to watch
everyone that I see. For like a year on after I saw that film, I was begging people to watch it.
I was clowning, and now I eat ass right now.
Yeah, because that's who you are. Yeah, spill shit on you, dude. Yeah, I mean, I loved some of the worlds that they went to. Like the Mad Max world,
dude,
was great in the beginning.
I was thinking about you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Mad Max and all that shit. So I love the world that they made. Oh. Yeah, so not to see, I'm going to go into a negative right after, but I loved it. I thought that was very interesting because you always associate Lego films with bright colored shit, and you get enough of that in this film.
Yeah.
But you also get this, the fact that the kid grows up, so he's building more mature sort of things with the Legos.
On the nose.
Yeah, very on the nose, right? Yeah. But then, so another thing I actually wanted to talk about in the first film, and I think this is where it's the most blatant examples of laziness in this movie compared to the first one. In the first one, you get one live scene. One.
There's a little too much in this movie.
In this one,
there's an abundance.
They constantly need to explain things with the live action sequences.
Why are they dumbing it down? That's what I think.
I don't know. It was constant. It's almost like, what do we want? Are we watching an animated film or not? Like, I get that there's supposed to be a boundary and they cross it sometimes. That's cool. And I get it. And in the first film, they were very clever with how they used it, very sparingly. In this one, constantly
trash.
It's constant, and for me, it's not right because it's a very backdoor way of trying to explain things like, oh, we're gonna go to another universe. we'll show somebody grabbing me, taking me to the door, taking me upstairs, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can follow along with what's happening. Like, they were very on the nose with a lot of stuff. I didn't feel like they needed to go overboard what they were saying.
I feel like it kind of cut momentum sometimes.
It absolutely did, because it would ruin the setup of sort of what you had just seen. And I mean, and this is a thing with the plot, man. You're right. I think there's certain moments in this film when the plot's fine and it's working, the script as well. But I'll give you an example where you're just like, okay, when Rex is explaining to Emmett that he just magically used time travel. Oh, don't worry about it. You know, time travel is confusing. I'm like, you can't do this. Because I see this in film all the time. I see it in comedies that want to be meta all the time. And this is why I'm not the hugest fan of Deadpool that some people are, right? It's comedy like this where you go like, ah ha ha ha, I did a weird thing and I'm pointing it out, so it's funny, so therefore I don't have to explain it. Mm-hmm. No, you're still a film. Right? You owe it to the audience to explain how things happen. If we're just going to be funny and assume things happen because you're funny that they happen, or some convoluted way of working those two things together, that's just a cheap way of explaining things.
I think the thought process in this situation you're talking about is because it's Rex and he's cool and he doesn't have to explain anything.
But it's
a cop out.
Yeah, it's an extreme cop out. It's a huge cop out, man. And those characters. I mean, that's Deadpool. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Right? And he's known for that, so that's fine. So that's something you come to the table with knowing. Right? So you're not as sort of, I don't want to use the word offended, but you're not as so taken aback when the character gets away from messy situations with like shitty, not really explainable plot points, right? Because you're always funny with it. That's cool. But in this one, you're like, that's literally the most important point in the film, is how the hell does he get back in time? Like, what? Like, I feel like it feels like the writers threw that part together and they went, well, how are we going to explain the fact that he's going back in time? Well, we're not going to explain that at all. He's just going to make a joke about how he can't explain it. Therefore, the writers can't explain it. And we're just supposed to move along.
Laziness.
Like, come on, yeah. Like, there should be a higher level than that. I really think there should be. That's again, it's too much of a cop out. I really thought it was too much of a cop out. With the themes point of view, I agree with you. It was mainly about change. I thought it was about change. Okay. And growing up is a big part of change, right? It's sort of not only the siblings growing up, but it's also about the Lego characters themselves growing up, right? And that meant different things, right? And I liked that they explored that it meant not only, you know, it's an interesting point of conversation about growing up, where it's this idea that you grow up, you leave what you are behind, and that's not necessarily true. And I think that the film makes this point. Sometimes growing up means finding who you were all those years ago that you tried to cover up, and it's the Lucy's that character, where she grows up to finally understand who she was, right? Mm-hmm. So she spent a long time not knowing who she was, and it wasn't until she grew up she understood who she was, and she understood what she could have asked of Emmett to be himself, and Emmett understands that growing up doesn't mean you become a hard ass and you can draw stubble on your face, which was funny. It was hysterical. Like there's some really good jokes in here. So I liked it. And, you know, the whole thing about siblings playing together, I thought was a great point. You know, we both have siblings, so we understand what that means and how growing up changes the way you play with your siblings. It's not the same anymore. And so this film, it was a great piece to remind you of what it used to be like when you used to have to physically play with toys with somebody else. You know, it's a different time, and we were different age. So I did enjoy the themes. I thought they were very heartfelt. Getting to these themes, convoluted,
shaky,
and at times you didn't feel the theme much. The change bit, yes. The siblings bit, not really. The siblings bit is, again, to fall back to that point I was making of just throwing together live action scenes to get a point across. Whereas if I felt in the first film they got the theme across in both realms, in both worlds, without having to constantly interchange. So yeah, I mean, I'll leave it at that. This is not a bad movie. and this is not a mediocre movie, but this is for me a drop off from what a fantastic film the first one was.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I mean, again, for me, it was passable.
yeah, I'm gonna go with
Like, I have the same flaws you do.
yeah. I'm gonna go with a 6.8. I'm being nice a little bit because of the themes at the end kind of save it. Again, some of the jokes were really good. It's just, man, I highly recommend you watch it first.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
I'm going 6.5 for this one. You know, I probably like the first one a lot. Again, it's a movie that knows how outlandish it is. I mean, you could afford to be. It's a freaking Lego movie, and you know what type of world you're in.
Yeah. This was the Lego 2 movie spoiler review. We're gonna head over and chit chat about the boys and True Detective and see what they're up to, and we'll be back next week with. We're going to watch next week. We're going to watch Fighting With My Family. Me and Chris are very, very long and very long. Ew, that's not the word I'm trying to use.
Yo.
Very old fans, of wrestling. So,
What the hell were you trying to look
long fans of wrestling? That makes zero sense.
We've been fans for a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
old fans of wrestling. So we're excited to see what that movie's about. Seems like it's quite decent, actually.
The Rock's in it.
And The Rock's in it. So he is a Hall of Famer on the sock wall, by the way.
Ah, yes.
We haven't made this point.
Behind the scenes.
He's one of the Hall of Famers. Me and you have to sit down and decide who's in the Hall of Fame, but he's definitely in the Hall of Fame.
I know. Marshall is definitely there.
He might make it there at the end of this season. We'll see how this season ends. But there's current active members, and then there's Hall of Fame.
Yes.
We'll see how if anybody moves over as he.
Hey, here's the Lego 2 movie review. We can't be talking about the suck wall.
Thanks for hanging with us as always.
Love you guys.
Find us, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes. I was going to say Twitch. Lol.
I'm sorry.
Hysterical. Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube. That's at Not D'Amico on Twitter. I'm at The Blue Yank.
Talk to him about Chelsea FC.
Don't bring this up.
Chelsea FC.
Yeah. All right, guys. Peace.
Deuces.